Who run this town?
We run this town.
Who run these streets?
We run these streets.
Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
All the focus and attention and accountability needs to be focused on Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world. And it's a damn shame that I'm saying that the richest man in the world failed to protect his own workers, the ones who made him the richest man in the world, the ones that he profited off every single day, the ones that make him almost $4,000 a second, $9 million an hour, $13 billion a day.
Can you kind of talk about what kind of response you've gotten from Amazon workers? Because a lot of them are scared because Amazon, essentially low-key threatens them. Don't mess with these workers.
They try to install that fear to these workers. They try to tell them if they talk to us, they'll get fired. They spread rumors. They don't stop the rumors. The rumors spread about union dues or about talking to us, getting fired or retaliation. They don't stop that. But the difference is this is completely worker-led. These workers that are in the inside, they get all that information real time. And that right there has been a huge success for us. Everything they've been doing that's been doubling down on the workers has been backfiring because they see the difference. They see the visibility and why we're out here compared to what they're telling them in the building.
What are the conditions in here? How hot is it inside? And what are they doing about how hot it is inside?
Wiring is coming down from the ceiling and blocking the pods from getting to people. Things are melting. Things are not working. Like, seriously, the robotics are not working. We don't have Wi-Fi in there to call for help. The waters that they're trying to hand out, if they hand them out at all, are cloudy and they taste like plastic. We don't know how long they've been sitting there. Nobody drinks them. And the water coolers are completely out of water because everyone's going to the water coolers. It's a bad deal. But we're still being timed by the millisecond.
Well, a few weeks back, we already had union busters in the building ever since April, but they brought in a lot more. And 2 weeks ago, they started corralling 40 to 50 people at a time, telling the workers that it was peak training. They basically lied to us and then had everybody going into a classroom, and it was mandatory. You couldn't get out of it. And then they would have a couple of union busters talking about how Amazon had our backs and everybody was being taken care of and that we didn't have any issues, but that they wanted to warn us about this group called the ALU, us, basically the workers of the Amazon Labor Union. And then they would make us watch a video for 20 minutes, and the entire video was 20 minutes of propaganda, anti-union and anti-ALU propaganda.
And Chris, do you have a message, because a lot of mainstream media might not be aware of workers like Daquan Smith, who was fired and became homeless, workers like Bashan Brown, who was testing workers for COVID and dropped dead suddenly. Can you talk about the names that people might not know that have suffered at Amazon?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of names. Gerald Bryson is one of them. Jordan Flowers is one of them. Bashan Brown, Daquan Smith, myself. I've been unemployed. I need my job back, right? Still pending with the AG's office. There's a lot of unheard voices, but the one that really, I'm glad you brought up Bashan Brown. She lost her life, 38 years old black woman, testing Amazon workers, testing her coworkers in the middle of the pandemic, leaving behind her 12-year-old daughter Gabby because Amazon made workers test each other with no facial masks, no N95s, no cleaning, no gowns, no plexiglass in the warehouse. They had workers testing each other. I'm talking about swab. And she died. She lost her life. And that company, all they did was put up the GoFundMe that we put out there.
When a pandemic came, It was a lot going on. My sister came in every single day. She was so fearless. She came in every day. She worked for Amazon. She worked for them for 4 years. She was not a fly-by-night employee. She did every shift in that warehouse. She started off as a night sorter, picking, stowing, 4 a.m. shift, 9 a.m. to 4:45 shift, the 9 to 7 shift. My sister worked at every shift in that warehouse. And the sad part about it is, I don't know if Jeff Bezos knows, my sister loved working for your fucking company. She loved working for your fucking company. My sister worked for your company till the day that she died. And when she told me in October that she was going to start COVID testing, I asked her why. Well, with bonuses and this and that, bonuses never fucking came. They never came. My sister started COVID testing, working in the COVID testing department in October until January, until the day she died. But at the end of the day, you had thousands, you had hundreds of thousands of people dying of COVID. What in the fuck was she doing in their COVID testing? What was anybody in there doing with COVID testing? They're not doctors, they're not nurses. Jeff Bezos, why? And I was so angry in the beginning. And I know Jordan and Chris, oh my God, thank God for these people. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. Nobody would have ever known about my sister, Pushan Brown.
Status Coup was the first outlet to cover the death of Pushan Brown. Pushan Brown was a 38-year-old worker in Virginia. Amazon had her and others administering COVID tests, administering nasal swabs on coworkers. She was not a nurse. She was not a doctor. She had no training to do that. Amazon did not give her N95 mask, shield, gown. They told her that she would get a bonus, which she never got. There was no plexiglass or anything to protect her, and she was administering COVID swabs on workers pretty much all day for several months. She dropped dead suddenly at 38 years old. She called her sister on a Thursday night, said, "I have a headache." The next morning, she still didn't feel well. She made her daughter, a 12-year-old, breakfast. She went back to bed. She never woke up. Remember her and have her in her thoughts. And her sister, Christina, who I've interviewed many times, has been fighting to make sure people know about Pushan Brown, because I'll tell you what, the mainstream media would not cover it.
So what would be your message to the people that maybe for comfort, laziness, whatever, they're basically benefiting off of people fainting, being retaliated against, being carted off? It's not just here, by the way. It's happening in Washington State. There was a story, workers, it was 90 degrees inside the warehouse there. What would be your message to Amazon customers who, presumably, they're not all evil people who wouldn't care? What's your message to the people that are basically feeding off your backs?
Value us. We put our lives on the line as essential workers every day to get these products, whether it be toothpaste or some sort of medication that Amazon brings to their door in 2 hours, in 1 day, whatever, if they're a Prime member. We sacrifice everything.
These workers were made to work during a tornado. Amazon's trying to pretend there wasn't much of a warning, but there were warnings of this tornado for days.
Yeah, Amazon says themselves that workers need their phones only for emergency use only. So if you note that, then in pandemic or not, you need a situation in an emergency. And in these emergency situations, they continue to choose profit over people and capital and keep their workers there or have them there in the first place. If they knew there was going to be a storm that was going to be severe, shouldn't have had them there in the first place.
And by the way, you guys know this well. It wasn't a tornado, but they kept the warehouse open during Hurricane Ida, which ravaged New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, all parts of the Northeast. I got videos sent to me that water was coming through the front door, but they kept the warehouse open.
Yeah, a worker literally lost their car driving here for fear of losing their own job, risk their own car and livelihood just to get to work.
So the ALU, as a business, as an identity, is a third party. It is not part of Amazon as a company. That's the whole point of it.
Amazon as a company doesn't protect its workers.
Well, thank you for sharing your perspective.
You know, every year that I can remember that it was a snowstorm or a hurricane, we still had to come in to work if it was our assigned day. So, you know, the fact that this time it took multiple workers' lives, it just shows how greedy this corporation is. You know, they'll do anything they can to get a dollar bill, even if it involves sacrificing their own workers' lives. And it's just really sad to see. And it just really makes us motivated more, you know, as ALU to continue our fight and make sure that we win this union, because, you know, the fact that they have this cell phone policy, this no cell phone policy, really, it irks me, because a situation like that of a tornado, this poor worker just reaching out to his wife, just telling them, you know, Amazon won't let me leave. And it's like almost a cry for help. And there was no alternative for him, you know, and it's just so sad.
Chris, I've asked you multiple times on multiple days to please leave the property.
Don't say that, because you haven't seen me multiple days in a row. Don't lie. You came here once last week.
So what's your business here?
I'm a visitor.
That's all you need to know. Y'all got to babysit us. No, we're going to wait until you leave. I can't leave until he leaves. He's the driver. Well, like I said, he's the driver. If you don't leave, he's 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds or you're getting arrested.
You gotta make sure
If you
that
do that,
every visitor,
if you do that,
every visitor that's on this property, you're gonna make sure.
You want to arrest me for what?
You're gonna make
What
sure
is
that
the charge? I'm not trespassing. I'm a visitor.
Trespass.
I'm a visitor.
10 seconds.
so you're
Cipriano, if you do that, if you attack him, that'll be.
You put hands on him. He's putting hands on him.
No.
These are workers. He works here.
Enough is enough, and yes, we are against it, and we are in our own way protesting, you know, towards what they're doing. Enough is enough. When do our lives matter first? When do the employees that slave and make Jeff all his money, when do their lives matter?
This whole pandemic, we've had our phones, and, you know, we still broke records in this building. We're like the top performing building in the network, and across Amazon, you know, Amazon is still outperforming expectations. You know, their stock price is still going up, and the thing is, they would like this to be like a prison. You come in and you're pretty much disconnected from the outside world. But, you know, people are really accustomed now to the fact that they can have their phones, they can connect with their families on the outside. If there's an emergency, they have their phone with them. And, you know, they don't have to be completely disconnected from everybody for their 10 or 12-hour shift.
One more time, we don't get it. Shut it down. Let me hear you. We don't get it. Shut it down.
AOC, she's in New York. Jamal Bowman in New York. Where are the elected progressives to support you guys? This is in New York. AOC is a New York congresswoman. Jamal Bowman's a New York congresswoman. Chuck Schumer's, you know, claiming to be progressive these days, jumping on to anything he can to avoid a primary. I haven't heard diddly from any of these people.
Yeah, you know, I think Staten Island's the misfit. That's what they call it, the misfit island. So I'm a misfit. You know, I'm not supposed to be here. It's all obvious. You know, the support is not as strong as it should be. And the politicians definitely have a responsibility to do that. I don't understand why they haven't done what they're supposed to do. You know, you got to ask them. You know, I could bash them all day about it, but that doesn't help us. So, you know, it just.
Well, you'd like to see more from AOC, Jamal Bowman.
It shouldn't even be you know, a question. It should be a no-brainer. You know, especially when I've spoken to her in person several times in, you know, DC, and you know, I know that they support behind the scenes or whatever, but that's not what we need. We need people to be upfront, outspoken, and in the media, so that resonates with the workers here.
I mean, you can't get in people's head, but why do you think you guys were basically fending for yourselves, where progressive congresspeople in their backyard weren't even tweeting on your behalf?
I think it's just that our campaign and our model was such a long shot. They saw it as risky to even associate with us, because at the end of the day, they are politicians. As much as they, you know, say that they're on the side of the workers, they have to prioritize getting reelected and you know, all that stuff. But, you know, as far as the AOC thing, it wasn't even so much the fact that she flaked out on us. It was more the fact that she went radio silent for 6 months after that and didn't show a word of support for us until it was clear that we were going to win. And it was that way with Jamal Bowman as well, and a lot of these politicians. But I mean, I'm not really upset about it, because at the end of the day, we are an apolitical union. We don't want to be reliant on political outsiders. I mean, it would have helped. It would have made things a little bit easier for us, because they have such a large platform. They could have gotten us more donations or more visibility, or helped the workers see that we are more credible. But at the end
Speak up, or speak up when workers are getting arrested for handing out chicken.
We have one of our organizers who was illegally terminated, Daquan Smith, was staying at a homeless shelter in AOC's district, and we tried to see if we could reach out to her to get some help with that, but we weren't able to. But you know, at the end of the day, we won without them, and we can continue to achieve big victories without them. You know, it would have been helpful to have that support early on. I mean, it's not really fair for them to stand at the finish line now and say that they support us, because we needed the support in the beginning. We don't need it now.
You know, why they haven't supported their own constituents. You know, I have people that's organizers that come from their district that was looking forward to seeing them come out here. It's sad and unfortunate. You know, people gonna look back and they're gonna be like, yo, where the hell was y'all? And they will have to answer to that, you know, not us. We know who we was. We know what we did. We invited them. I personally invited them. Derek personally invited them. We went to Washington. They have my information. They have my direct contact. I'm very accessible. I'm busy, but, you know, I try to make time for everybody, and they know that.
TikTok, the clock is ticking. We're calling you out on your bullshit, politicians. You need to speak up. This is clearly revolutionary change. We're here for the people, and you need to speak up.
2654 yes to 2131 no.
That's right, we did it.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Holla.
Yeah. ALU!